task force. Motion to some the THBT state should take custody of morbidly obese children. Results probably are often understood to investigate.
This hard. The problem is that in the United States, there are a lot of obese children in the status quo. So we believe the root cause is that the lifestyle speaker, not the particular speaker. For example, in the lung cases, so because the serious lifestyle, just eating, sleeping, something like that, in the now country, 1,800 people become fat. So because that, habit is very serious root cause. So maybe the government should intervene in those kind of situations in order to decrease the obese children, obese people. That is why the reason believes that the state should take custody of obese children. So reason this proposal. So having shown our stance, let me show our case. So today the United States introduced the fat camp. So how to introduce fat camp for the children? In the United States, the mega criteria or like the rate of the BMI, something like that. But if the children have over this criteria, children have to go to fat camp in summer vacation for 1 month, right? Second, in the fat camp, children are learned how to improve the lifestyle, so how to exercise in order to lose weight. Something like that.
Clarification.
So that is why. So we believe. So that's what. So having shown our stand before we move. Yes.
The motion says that the state should take custody, which means that the state deprives the parental rights of the obese children. It does not necessarily say. So what is the justification for taking parental rights away on the criteria of obesity?
So we say parents have to extend parents' rights compromise because it is very serious problem that becomes obese. So there is no problem from the position or point of information. So having shown our case, let's further explain our points. I have 2 points here. First of all, we are going to talk about what kind of situation the government can intervene for the lifestyle. Secondly, we are going to talk about one particular aspect. So how to improve children's lifestyle. That's why by this proposal, the obese people decrease. Let me examine one by one. So first of all, we are going to talk about first problem. Why government can intervene in those kind of situations. Ladies and gentlemen, government can intervene in that situation. Alright, if a citizen get directly harmed, government can intervene in this individual lifestyle. For example, cigarette cases, in the status quo, government introduced the tax in order to restrict smoking cigarette. Because either people smoke the cigarette, people have a strong possibility to get lung cancer, like a serious disease in this speaker. So so that's why the government intervened in this lifestyle through introducing a tax. The second problem, in the status quo, like the cigarette case, because keeping the status, government allowed the smoking cigarette. The government has to spend a lot of money for the medical expense. So it is really serious situation. So that is why, for those reasons, the government introduced a cigarette tax like that in order to restrict in people's lifestyle. In this case, the fat people's case, so it is really a serious problem. Because either people keep the fat, people have some possibility, whether lifestyle diseases or diabetes, those kind of serious diseases. So it is a very strong, it is very serious for the individual lifestyle. The second way to talk about, that's what we expense. Government has to spend lots of the money for the medical expense, even if government wants to utilize the money for other things, or right to public welfare, those kind of things. So that is why the government should intervene for the obese children lifestyle. So government should take this proposal. The second, so having shown our first one. So next, let me explain our second point, so how to improve the children's lifestyle. Ladies and gentlemen, why the people are becoming fat? The root cause is that just lifestyle, right? So if the people eat the fat food or rice about the Kentucky or something, those kind of food, some people do not become obese just because those kind of people take the exercise, take a run, the lifestyle, and so forth. So that is why the lifestyle is a serious problem. So keeping a status quo, that even if children become obese, if the children doesn't improve lifestyle, children keep the body right path. So it is very serious problem. Especially the poor people, especially not only the poor, especially the poor people say that. Poor people do not have access to get the knowledge of the improve the brain and so on to speak. Needless to say, not only the poor people, but also the rich people sometimes do not have access to those kind of education. So that is why by keeping the status quo, many people can become obese. So it is a very serious problem. However, by this proposal, what they have yes.
Then, Mr. Speaker, we are perfectly happy with extending the paradigm of education and increasing the amount of education provided to the children. What is the justification of taking away parental rights in this debate?
So let me explain about the white mountains. So let me move on to the second point, by this proposal and what they have. But by this proposal, first of all, in the past camp, children try to make an effort to lose the weight, because in the past camp, there's a lot of these people, those kind of people have to try to improve our lifestyle and so forth. So because children have more tendency to improve the lifestyle and lose the weight. Second, after camp, the children can make a friend in the past camp. The children take communication with those kind of people in order to improve lifestyle and so on. So it is very better about the proposal again after camp. So that is why it is very effective way to solve this problem. This means that by this proposal, children, many people obese. So that is why we submit the proposal. Thank you.
I now the Prime Minister reply. I call upon to read out the open the case of Opposition within 7.
Mr. Speaker, there is a hard excuse the motion. In Vancouver, why there is justification to deprive the parental right to educate, to bring up their children. This is the context of this motion. On the contrary, what we tell you today is about the parental right. In this case, parental rights should be respected because there is the choice of the parent. That's why we beg to oppose. Two things in my speech to bring you today. Firstly, I will tell you why the parental rights should be respected and why, in this case, there is no justification to deprive parental right to bring up their children. And secondly, I will tell you how this proposal will create a detrimental effect towards their children. So, but before that, 3 points of rebuttals. Firstly, there are two that tobacco or medical care, it is harm to our society. That's why we can limit the choice of children. On first place, they never show the why uniquely children is so harm. According to their logic, adults doesn't stand. And secondly, there are two that poor people have the less accessibility towards education. That's why poor people will become obese much more. That's not the case. Because by taking this proposal, we never solve the root cause itself. Because we think the root cause is the root cause itself is parents' idea. That's why we think that by taking this proposal, even if children will be educated, the root cause itself won't be changed. That's why if the child have to go to the past camp and they go back to society, they will be taught again. That's why situation will be changed. That's why this proposal is just hard. And thirdly, we think that someone try to justify their case by demonstrating the case of tobacco and so forth. But we think that tobacco is still legal. That's why even under status quo, we still allow the accessibility towards tobacco. And if the fast food is such kind of thing in the poor man, why do we impose a tax towards those fast food and so forth? I'm also happy to impose tobacco tax and so forth. It is okay. And why do we directly increase amount of education of the lifestyle, education of the obese? We still allow some kind of way to reduce the amount of obese. See, remember why this proposal is only way to solve this problem. The problem is by taking this proposal, the parental right will be deprived. It is so unjust. That's why we beg to oppose. Now, thank you. Now, first issue about parental rights. We think that parental rights should be respected as much as possible because parents is so best actor to consider the future child lifestyle. That's why we have to respect the parental right at first place. But in some cases, for example, the case of child abuse, we have to respect the parental right because in the case of child abuse, the parents intentionally damage towards their children. That's why we have to take some custody from their parents because this is the only way. This is the better way to solve the problem of status quo. However, we think that it is actually not the case because at first place, for the parents, there is no intention to damage their children because they just try to feed their children and children become part. Even if that is true, we think that there is no harm inside of the parents, inside of children. That's why at first place, parents don't have any intention to damage their parents, their children. That's why we think that's why as much as possible we have to respect the parental rights. Yes.
The problem is that parents unintentionally damage the children because they don't understand how the obese is harmful for the children.
Alright, even if that is true, why don't we directly solve the root cause, for example, to educate their parents and so forth? That is much better way to solve your problem. They never prove us why this proposal is better way to solve this problem. And furthermore, we think that to become obese, contain many factors. For example, not only the parents, but also the main factor, many other factors, including to their obese. That's why this is not only the responsibility of the parents. That's why it is so unjust to deprive the precious parental rights to bring up their children. That's why this is so unjust. That's why we should not take this proposal. Now, second issue about how this proposal will determine the harm, towards children. Because we think that under status quo, it is so reasonable. Why that? Because if the children consider I'm fat and I want to solve the obese, they can optionally go to the past camp. They optionally can choose the way to remove their weight. That's why under status quo it is so reasonable, and there's opportunity to be paid the stress and so forth. That's why status quo is so fine. However, after taking this proposal, what's going to happen is suddenly, if they become obese, they will exclude from society. They have to go to the past camp. That's why it is so harmful. Why is that? Because at first place, first place, children will face stress. And secondly, it is so difficult to integrate in society because at first place they have to go to the first camp and there is only the obese children in this community. That's why it is so difficult to communicate with other children, communicate with other friends, other society. That's why they will be excluded from society. It is so unjust. And why is it so harmful? Because child harm is so significant. Because child harm, it is their immature. They have the possibility to get many opportunities, many things. That's why in this time, they will be excluded from society. That's why it is so unjust. That's why we beg to oppose.
Prime Minister communicates with the Council.
Mr. Speaker, today's opposition side says that, again and again, it says that parent right is very important, but parent right is not the right that we can deal with the children freely. Parents of the obese children is about to giving harm to the child by remaining obese children, and is about to give the disease to the child. We should stop this situation by this proposal. So we will propose this motion. Before moving on to my argument, let me give you some rebuttal. Firstly, he says that this proposal cannot change the incentive of the parents. So this is not the work. This proposal has no workability. No, thank you. But this is not true. As I told you later, this can change the parental incentive by the incentive of the children. For children, first camp is a very tough event. So if they experience it once, they don't want to do first camp again. So there's children will tell parents we do not want to go first camp again. So parents will think the children. Parents will do the action. So his statement does not stand. And secondly, he said that by this proposal, children will be excluded from the normal environment. But this is not true, Mr. Speaker. Children can make other friends in first camp, and trainers will kindly deal with the children. First camp is also the normal environment. There is not so much big stress between the normal environment and the first camp, so there is no problem in this situation. No, thank you. Okay, let me go to my argument. In my argument, let me give you the workability of this proposal. Again, so let me explain one by one. Under state school, even if children have the incentive to lose weight, their incentive is easy to lose because around the children there are lots of people who is not interested in health problems so much because they are not obese, because they think adult is real case. They assume even if my friend or my son is obese, heart attack is they don't receive the heart attack or disease, so they don't think the health program not so worth so much. So
So they don't cooperate their children so much, their children or their friends so much because they think there is no problem, even if even if in fact there is a problem, Mr. Speaker. Furthermore, because of the around the obese people, obese people can. People around the obese people do not cooperate obese people. Obese people is the only person to want to lose weight. So they have to tackle this problem by myself, Mr. Speaker. So it is difficult to lose weight because there is a lot of temptation or also no thank you. But after taking this plan, if obese child go to fat camp, there is lots of people who think obese problem seriously. For example, there are lots of people, lots of obese children who want to solve the fat problem, and there is a lot of trainer who wants to solve the fat problem of the children. That is why they can make incentive remain high because there is the most because of the encouraging each other or also so they can lose weight effectively by encouraging each other or also. And furthermore, to change the incentives of the parents, this proposal is very important and effective because fat camp is very tough event for child. Children will think that they don't want to go to fat camp again. So there. In children, there is an incentive to change the habit of the child, not to become, not to become fat again. So after going to fat camp, for example, child will tell the parents to change the habit of the food, or they will say that. They want to go to exercise. So, an optional side says that parent is a good actor to think about the child. So, if child hope that I don't want to go to fat camp again, they will treat the child not to become fat again. This proposal can be an incentive for parents to change their incentive for the health program. This is very effective to change the parental habit also. We will propose this motion. Thank you for listening.
I don't give you comments over tomorrow. Now, call upon you can read options for the case of option. We have to clarify the target of this debate. In the status quo, if the children really want to go to the fat camp, these kind of children can go there.
first camp. We have to discuss the children who really do not want to the first camp, and these kind of parents are not educated and they are not send these kind of children to go to the first camp. We think in that so we have the system of first camp, and we have children, obese children, or the parents have the option to send the children to go to the first camp. And we think in this situation, we think the children do not have the workability to become thin, and even if they become thin, we think this will not work because we will not change the root cause, like the incentive of children or incentive of the parents. What the fundamental cause is the poverty in the United States. We think this will not work for this kind of target of this debate. We are very proud to oppose the motion. Okay, first of all, I want to refute the previous speaker. The previous speaker has said that, refuted my partner, saying that even if they are going to this kind of camp, they will not get the mental damage because they create the friend in this kind of first camp. We think in the first place they have no incentive to going to the first camp. We think that separating these kind of obese children and parents is firstly this is a harm for these kind of children. They are not refuting this point. And secondly, we think if they do not have the incentive to go to this kind of first camp, we think they have the best possibility to become the like the friend in this kind of first camp. We don't think this reputation will work in this debate. Secondly, he is trying to analyze the children who really want to go into the first camp, and the children who have the incentive to go into the first camp and who have the incentive to become thin. We think this is not the target of this debate because these kind of children can go to the first camp in the status quo, and if they really want to become the thin, these kind of children can go to the first camp. We think this is not the argument. This should be considered in this decision. Okay, I want to talk about the two things to talk. The first thing I want to talk about the custody of the parents, and second I want to talk about the workability of this motion. The first thing I talk about the custody of children, custody of the parents. We think when it comes to the state will deprive the right of the parents. We think we need not only the harm for the children, but also we have to consider the intention of the parents. We agree that the state has the right to deprive the right of custody, but this just because they have the harm for the children, this doesn't mean that the state can deprive the right of the parents. We think that intention should be so considered by the state because we have recognized the right of custody is very much important. Firstly, we think that parents have already get huge burden for the children in the way of the money or in the way of education. We think that because the parents have the responsibility for the children, we think that parents' rights should be so considered by the state. And second, for example, they have to spend huge money for the children, or they have to apologize if the children do some harm to the society. They have to go into the school, or they have to apologize for the teacher in the school. We think that custody should be so considered the state. That's why even though they are the societal discouragement for the action for the parents, even though the parents are making harm for the children, this doesn't mean that the state can deprive the right of the parents. For example, if the parents are forced these kind of children to believe like certain religion, for example, Jehovah's Witness, the state will not intervene in this case. Or for example, if the parents are forced the children to get a circumcision in the United States, the United States are not intervening in this case. But even though the parents are forced these kind of children not to undertake abortion, and even if they have the huge harm to the right of the children, this is not being intervened by the state because we have already recognized the custody is very much important thing. And moreover, we think this will apply this case because as government we have talked about, the parents do not have the intention. Parents are unintentionally making these children obese. We think this is totally apply this case because parents are not have the evil intention, like the case of child abuse. And moreover, we think the parents, this is not only the responsibility of the parents. For example, if the school are sponsoring the fast food in the lunch of the school, this is the responsibility of the parents. We don't think that this is only the responsibility for the parents. Yes.
So you are saying that parents can abuse the children if there is no intention, right?
Well, if the parents have the evil intention, this is called the child abuse. We think if the parents, I don't think the point you mentioned makes sense. Okay, the government has talked about if the parents have the direct harm to the children, like the case of the cigarettes. Okay, we are okay to restrict the right of the cigarettes for the children, or we are okay to impose a sin tax for the cigarettes for educating the children not to get the cigarettes. But
children to go into the fat camp. These kind of children, if the children have the intention to become thin, we think this will work. But we have to consider the situation of the children. They are suddenly depriving children, and they are suddenly force these kind of children to attend the fat camp, and just without any explanation for these kind of children. If the children don't have the intention to be thin, we think this will not work. Firstly, they are not thinking about becoming the thin. They are only thinking about their father or mother. They're thinking about friends in school. They're thinking about the summer vacation in the school. We don't think these kind of children can concentrate on the system or the curriculum process or the process of the curriculum. And secondly, this will not change the incentive of parents, because and moreover, the parents will not regret their action, and parents will not be educated in their model. We think this will not change the situation for the parents or the lifestyle of the parents in the first place. And moreover, we think that poverty is also the problem, and these kind of root cause will not change. In the sense, in the United States, the poverty is the root cause of becoming the fat, because they're poor. They can't go to they can't buy healthy food. They have to go to the fast food, and they have to eat the fast because their parents, both parents are going to both these kind of children have to eat the fast food. We don't think these kind of root cause will change. We are okay. We think the status quo is fine, because we are only targeting the people who really want to become thin, and they become thin. These people can go. And if we are want to become, and we think we are very happy to expand the education. This is not repeated the previous speaker. We think the motion must follow. I call upon which speaker from the government to start this debate.
Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen in the South today, we made a consensus in this debate that obesity is problematic. Even for the children, it is very problematic. What the proposition side has told you is that we have to take this proposal, because it is the only way to tackle with the problem, the root cause of the problem directly. The lifestyle of the children, lifestyle of the family is a problem. We can change those situations by taking this proposal. What the opposition side has told us in this debate is the parental right is so important. That's why we should not take this proposal. Parents wouldn't change the incentive. That's why we should not take this proposal. We only have very negative idea from the opposition side, Mr. Speaker. When fundamentally, what we'd like to tell you in this debate is that we can change we can change the situation, and we can have the justification to change this model, Mr. Speaker. This is why fundamentally we are superior to the opposition side. Two issues to sum up this debate. First of all, I'd like to deal with the principal issue of this debate. I mean that governmental obligation, moral obligation presented by my partner, and the arguments about parental rights presented by the opposition side. I'd like to further deal with why we think the parental rights should be regulated in certain conditions. Secondly, I also would like to deal with the practical consequence why we have told you in this, and what I have told you to tackle with the problem. I mean the workability of taking this proposal, Mr. Speaker. Unfortunately, today, opposition side has no practical consequences, just saying the feel isolated from the society or so forth. We think we don't have to deal with this point. But first of all, about the principal issues. What I have told you in this debate is that the governmental intervention is sometimes necessary, and when, in case of the health problem, like the case of the tobacco, like the case of the alcohol, we have to intervene in those kind of situations or so forth. What the proposition side has told you is that it's not a direct way. Why not educate educate the parents? Why not enforce the parents to go to the fast camp or so forth? First of all, it is direct way, Mr. Speaker, because we are talking about the problem of children, the obesity of children. For children to go to the camp is, of course, the direct way to tackle with them, Mr. Speaker. Secondly, if there is a feasibility to force the parents to go to the fast camp, we would like to do it. But unfortunately, parents are adults. They have the lifestyle, they have the work. They cannot be forced by the government to go to the fast camp for a month, Mr. Speaker. This is why there is no feasibility. In case of the adults, we have to to take this proposal, force children to go to the fund camp, Mr. Speaker. This is why we have the uniqueness of taking this proposal. Secondly, the opposition side said, how about fat tax or so forth, fat tax or so forth. Mr. Speaker, we have already told you that lifestyle wouldn't be changed by taxation, Mr. Speaker. Even though we impose a tax, they can still buy the McDonald's. Even though we impose a tax, the McDonald's would reduce the price of the hamburger or so forth. So, Mr. Speaker, in case of the taxation, it is not workable. But in case of the fat camp, actually we can change the system of the lifestyle. We can change the habits. We can change the favorites of the children. We can acknowledge, let children acknowledge how the obesity is bad for the health, how it's going to be bad in the future, Mr. Speaker. This is why this is almost most important and most direct way to tackle this problem. What the opposition side has told you is that parental right is important, so custody of the parents is absolutely important and so forth. What they have told us is the idea of the parental right. What they haven't told us is why this proposal will deprive the parental right, Mr. Speaker. And secondly, they didn't explain how the parental right is so significant that it must be obviously protected by the government, Mr. Speaker. We told you, Mr. Speaker, in certain conditions, the parental right can be compromised. When the case of the rights of the parents, when the parents damage to the children, those interventions can be justified. Like case of abusement, of course, it can be justified to intervene the parental rights, Mr. Speaker. In case of the parent who failed to educate the children, who failed to go to the compulsory education, of course, we can punish those children, those parents. In case of the harm to the children, we can ignore the parental rights. And Mr. Speaker, we can apply to this model, Mr. Speaker, because the children are actually facing the difficulty in the future, but there is no education in the form. So because the parents have failed to educate the children correctly, we say that it harms to the children's knowledge. Yes.
Do you accept that the state is not doing enough in the status quo to inform the parents about the possible dangers of fat foods and the good alternatives in healthy foods?
But we say that at least the state do something. That the problem is that the parent has no incentive to realize what is the problem, what is not the problem, Mr. Speaker. This is why it's only the failure of the parents, Mr. Speaker. Okay, having said the principle of taking this proposal has already explained, and the parental right is not important. We have already explained. I'd like to also deal with the workability of taking this proposal. Mr. Speaker, we told you there are 3 reasons of the workability of taking this proposal. First of all, children would learn how dangerous the obesity is, and secondly, the children will not go back to the fatty count, so they would claim to the parents not to change to change the lifestyle and so forth. Thirdly, I also try to tell you that by taking this proposal, government will send a message to the certain families that your children is facing some difficulty, some problem, Mr. Speaker, and the seriousness of the problem is already stated to the children, and children will state to the parents, and because obesity is bad for their body in the future, please change this system and so forth. Mr. Speaker, those are reasons is not rebutted free by the opposition side, Mr. Speaker. They have said that parents' right won't change, parents' incentive won't change, the poor will not have any accessibility or so forth. First of all, the poor don't have to pay for the party camp because it is funded by the government. It's fundamentally out of debate. Secondly, parents will change the incentive by 3 reasons, Mr. Speaker. For all of the reasons, Mr. Speaker, we on the opposition side strongly, proudly propose this motion. Thank you very much.
I thought we'd speaker remark. I call upon the speaker from the opposition to sum up the debate within 7 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, according to Prime Minister's arguments, the reason why we are facing the problem of child obesity in the United States is because of lifestyle, Mr. Speaker. And what we've been telling you from side opposition is, whose fault is it that this lifestyle has currently become the social norm in the United States? While we accept that child obesity is a problem, we don't think that this child obesity's problem can be directly related to the parent when we have been specifically telling you that it is the fault of the state for not educating our parents enough in order to make sure that the parents know about the healthier options which are in our society, and also the fact that the parents discourage their children from having access to fatty foods. We think, Mr. Speaker, as long as this direct link cannot be established by the entire proposition bench, we see no reason for the state to intervene and take custody of their children just because they are obese. Two things to look at in the criteria of today's debate. Firstly, to what extent do we allow governmental intervention on parental rights in the context of this debate? Secondly, we want to look at the practical consequences that occur if we take this proposal. So moving on to the first point. Mr. Speaker, I'm going to put the proposition's case to you very simply, right? Proposition in this debate is all about, look, we have a problem. There's not enough people who receive education. Parents have no knowledge about healthier alternatives. Parents don't know that fat food increases the risk of heart disease, and so forth. So what we're going to do is Big Brother is going to look after your children for you, Mr. Speaker. That is the proposition's case. Two things to rebut to that. Firstly, we are more than perfectly happy with expanding education and giving parents knowledge, as well as increasing the amount of health education inside schools or providing healthier school dinners, Mr. Speaker. We're perfectly okay with doing alternatives like that. Second, if the problem is the lack of governmental policy in educating the children and the parents, Mr. Speaker, then the fault of child obesity does not lie with the parents for trying to choose unhealthy lifestyle, Mr. Speaker. It lies with the fault of the state, because the state has not provided enough information or enough knowledge to allow the parents to recognize that this is a bad choice, Mr. Speaker. We think it's not the responsibility of the parent that these children are fat. It's the responsibility of the state that these children are fat. And Prime Minister has said as much in his arguments. We don't see why we should take away parental rights for something that is the fault of the state. Second, what do we take from side opposition? We told you that the criteria to justify governmental intervention in cases of parental rights is the cause of intent, right? We told you that we already accept, to a certain extent on our side of the house, that the result of a parental decision might be potentially harmful for the child. For example, if a parent decides to enroll their child in a religious school and being brought up on religious principles and taught about creationism instead of Darwinism, Mr. Speaker, we recognize that these children are probably going to have some sort of biased knowledge. But we allow that on the principle that parents are not making these decisions based on malicious intent. They don't intend to choose to get children to have biased information. They make their decision based on common good or based on their version of the good life, Mr. Speaker. We think that as long as these parents do not intend to get their children fat and get them to have heart failure when they're 28, we don't think that we can justify government intervening on their behalf, because we recognize that these parents, yes, they might be doing something that's potentially harmful, but because the intent isn't there, you can't classify it as any kind of abuse or violence towards a child, Mr. Speaker. We don't think that we can justify governmental intervention in this case. Second, they talk about unintentional abuse, right? They talk about if these parents unknowingly committed an offense, they're still punished. Firstly, we tell you that this is factually wrong. We don't punish parents if their child for cases of unintentional abuse, Mr. Speaker, because we think that that's what we do, right? We don't punish parents for crimes that are committed by their children, because we recognize that the parents have no control or responsibility over the child's actions. So we don't think that we can punish parents just for unintentional abuse that their parents cause. Stay standing, I'll take you in a second. Right, second, if the cause of the unintentional abuse, as we've told you throughout this debate, is because the state neglected their behalf to fulfill their education and give parents extensive knowledge, then we can't punish the parents for that, right? So we think, Mr. Speaker, that unintentional abuse is not a criteria in this debate. Yes.
Could you explain in detail why unintentional activity can be justified?
That cannot be the criteria to be punished.
Well, Mr. Speaker, unintentional abuse is not something that can be punished precisely because it was unintentional and the intent wasn't there. Mr. Speaker, we recognize that you don't cause, if you cause an unintentional harm and you can't be held responsible, your punishment actually decreases in many court cases, Mr. Speaker. Further, we tell you that this case about taking away parental rights is one of the harshest forms of punishment available that a parent can suffer. We think that if it's unintentional and they don't mean that harm, then they don't deserve that punishment. So that's why we think unintentional abuse is not something that should be taken into consideration within the context of today's debate. Secondly, we want to look at the practical consequences of taking this proposal. Right? What we get from side prop is that the reason why these people excuse me, right? The workability of today's prop in sending their children to fat camp arises, as we told you from Deputy Leader of Opposition, out of one assumption, right? The willingness to cooperate with the people of the fat camp team. And Mr. Speaker, we've been asking you, what is the incentive of these children to cooperate if they're deprived from seeing their parents, if they're forced into a compound with uncompromising staff who make them do exercises as much as very extensive exercises, deprive them from giving them sweets or candy, and cannot do anything after 9 o'clock at night, Mr. Speaker. The only reason this works in the current paradigm is because it is voluntary, right? You accept that this is something that you have to undergo. But if you force these children into it, there is no way that these children are going to be able to endure such kind of harsh environment. And what we've been telling you is that if you purposefully enroll these children without the consent of the child, then you're going to get people who are going to be depressed, you're going to get people who are homesick, and people who are generally unproductive. Mr. Speaker, even if it does work and we get people who are thinner than before, it doesn't mean that we get people who are psychologically healthy, and that is why side opposition is extremely proud to oppose.
Now I welcome the first speaker from the opposition to come up and speak.
Mr. Speaker, 3 things in my speech to sum up this debate. Firstly, I'm going to look at the issue of characterization of parents and children. And secondly, I'm going to look at the issue of parental rights and government intervention. Would there be the justification to deprive the parental rights in this case? And thirdly, I'm going to look at the issue of impact on child. So let me explain one by one. Now first, about characterization. Basically, what we told you today is that in this case, the characterization of parents and children is who do not want to go to the fat camp, because even under the current paradigm, we will still allow the accessibility towards the fat camp. That way, if they want to lose their weight, they can go even under the status quo. That way, in this point, we are talking about the people who do not want to go to the fat camp. In this case, we should not force those kind of children, because even if we force those kind of people to go to the fat camp, there is no workability. I'll explain later. That's why in this point, we should not take this proposal. Now, second issue about responsibility. Basically, what I heard from the opponent side was the parents don't have any capability to bring up their children by themselves because they are less educated. My brother only points out that is not a failure of parents. That's a failure of state. That the state couldn't educate their parents as much as possible. That's why parents don't have any capability to bring up their children. That's why we think that what this proposal does is just automatically deprive the parental right under the name of obese, under the name of saving child. It is so unjust. On the contrary, what we do today is that even if child is obese, we have to respect the parental right, because parents is so close after towards their children, and parents feed their children, and parents spend a lot of money towards their children. That way, parents have the right to decide their school, such as radio school and so forth. And this and furthermore, we think that in this case, the parents don't have any intention to damage their children. That's why it is okay. And furthermore, my brother only points out this is not a fault. Only there is many factors to become obese for the children. Not only the responsibility of parents. Many factors, for example, the school friends, and many factors exist. That's why this is not only the fault of parents. That's why it is unjust to deprive the parental right to bring up their children. That's why in this point, our case is much more significant. And third issue about impact on children. Basically, why I want to emphasize was by taking this proposal, we can lose the weight. It is just, it is okay. My brother already pointed out, one, there is massive amount of alternative way to remove the alternative way to lose the child weight. For example, to impose a sin tax and so forth. I'm also happy to impose sin tax and so forth. It is okay. And furthermore, my brother already pointed out, by taking this proposal, we cannot solve the root cause itself. That's why even if the children go back to society, they will rebound again. They have to go to the fat camp again and again. It is so unjust. That's why this proposal doesn't work at the first place. And on the contrary, what we told today is that by taking this proposal, automatically, just because they're obese, they will be excluded from society. That's why they feel the stress, it is so difficult to integrate in society again. That's why it is determined harm towards children. That's why it is unjust. And at the end of the day, mainly they are talking about the obese, and they couldn't show any reason and any mechanism why obese is so problematic. And on the contrary, what we told today is that parental rights should be respected as much as possible, and this is not criteria to deprive the parental rights. That's why we beg to oppose. Thank you.
I call upon speaker from the government to participate in the movement.
Mr. Speaker, we somehow understand the by this proposal from the opposition side, by this proposal, the parent right deprived. It is a very serious problem. However, we couldn't understand the approach from the opposition about the problem, Mr. Speaker. We couldn't understand the problem is allowed or not, Mr. Speaker. Maybe opposition will talked about it is alternative. There is alternative way to giving information on the software, Mr. Speaker. However, it is pretty too well. Even if this alternative way is we allow, the opposition side does not explain the effective alternative way. So it is very not effective from alternative way. So we say government government can intervene in those kind of situations because health problem is a very serious problem. So even if parents' right is deprived, that is why we would like to propose this motion. So to summarize this debate, I have three criteria. First of all, we are going to talk about government can intervene in this situation or not. Secondly, I talked about the workability this policy. Thirdly, I talked about a practical aspect. So how to improve children's lifestyle, children's body. Let me examine one by one. First of all, we are going to talk about government can intervene in this situation or not. Today, opposition side mainly talked about by the proposal, children's right surely deprived. It is very justifiable. Justifiable. Moreover, opposition side talked about the religious cases. A parent choose the children of religion and so on, Mr. Speaker. So we say we believe this case is irrelevant because our case is a health problem, right? The health problem is just problem as I told you. Health problem is connected to the death and so forth, something like that. So government can intervene in this situation, even if a parent's right deprived. However, opposition side does not reverse at this point. Just to say, because there exists a religious case, children's rights should not deprive. So that's why as a first criteria, we speak here from the opposition side. Secondly, I talked about our community, Mr. Speaker. Today, opposition side talked about if the children go to fat camp, children somehow do not somehow understand this method, how to improve the lifestyle and so on, Mr. Speaker. So my government will clearly explain that the problem itself is the children. Children surely become obese. The children itself is a problem as a subject. Secondly, talk that a parent can't go to the fat camp. A parent somehow have a work and so forth, Mr. Speaker. So it is no workability, a parent go to fat camp, and so forth, Mr. Speaker. So that's why it is best way that children go to the fat camp. So that is why our workability surely exists. Thirdly, talked about the practical aspect. Unfortunately, opposition side just talked about children excluded society, Mr. Speaker. On the contrary, government, the Deputy Prime Minister surely talked about even by the proposal, children go to the fat camp, children can make a friend, children learn how to improve the lifestyle for friendly teacher, something like that. But it is not. So it is not exclude. So this means that children does not exclude for the society. On the contrary, children can have a strong incentive to make a friend, to how to improve the lifestyle and so forth, Mr. Speaker. So moreover, after the first camp, children teach the parents. So I want to lose the weight. So how to improve eating food, something like that, Mr. Speaker. So parents surely have an incentive to change the lifestyle, so eating food, Mr. Speaker. Parents strongly consider children. So it is a very effective way to improve the children's lifestyle. The children should not become obese. So that is why we should propose. Thank you.